have done that or are doing that just to try to stand out because, you look at WWE and WCW at the time, and that was the norm, was you had to be jacked with a six-pack.
Yeah, you had to be the body guy.
That's what you had to do in order to get noticed. And, it sucks because it twisted a lot of fans' minds, too, because they think that that's all that they're supposed to see. So it's like it's this big vicious cycle that, I need to be adored by fans. I need to get over with the fans. So I got to put this stuff in my body and make sure I look a certain way, and I need to get noticed. I need to be bigger than these other guys and stronger than these other guys, and this is what I have to do in order for this to happen. And I've seen plenty of guys jacked and everything, and still working in front of 30, 40 people.
That definitely happens. You'll have like the super jack dudes that have absolutely no idea what to do, like character-wise or work rate-wise, but they have a great body and try to skate by.
And there's also just a difference between steroid use and steroid abuse, because there's bodybuilders on the national bodybuilding circuit where steroids are technically still, 100% against their code of ethics, but off-season they juice up to gain mass, to look bigger, have bigger muscles, to perform better in the next competition.
Yeah,
so
and then they just cycle off.
Healthy cycling, and then there's just full-on, you just never get off cycle, and you just always go. But usually terrible things happen to those people, like their chest caves in because their heart muscle can't withstand the weight, or people's biceps explode. Those random stories when people just don't stop cycling.
We actually had a really young kid out here pass away because he was abusing, because he met a higher-up indie guy that took him under his wing. And that was what he got used to, because he used to be a chunky kid. That was the only way he thought he could get by in this business. And when he moved back here, he was still, cycling, and the weight of his chest was too much for his heart, and he passed away in his sleep.
Holy shit.
Jeez.
And the kid was like, I'm only 28, and he was like, I think he was like maybe 22 or 23. I was actually at a show when I found out it happened. Like, the whole locker room had a very big moment of, like, solace.
Yeah. Well, I just want to make it clear that I wasn't, obviously blaming steroids on this like the media tried to do at the start. What did you guys think when the media was all over steroids? I remember watching it and thinking, yes, I think Benoit was on steroids. The dude was jacked up like Lex Luger. I mean, between WCW and WWE, you know how much bigger he got. But at the same time, I was like, that's not why he would have killed two people.
Yeah, they immediately went to roid rage because, he's a professional wrestler. He has to do steroids. That's what they do. It is absolute garbage.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. They've been trying to throw that stone at wrestling for years and point that out. And I think that kind of just gave them a recognizable outlet to do it, and it gave people something that they knew they would tune into and be like, oh, we knew that was happening all along. Now here's the justification behind it. Let's find out more. I think that's all that really was.
They just want to destroy it.
Yeah, I mean, like at the time, things I was glued to, like when this whole story was, when it broke out and when everything was kind of coming into, all the details were coming out, were online, mainly WrestleZone, as I was saying before, and CNN, because there was constant coverage on this, like always. Larry King had a string of a long set of interviews with the likes of, Jericho and guys like Kevin Nash, and I point him out because Larry King even pointed out bluntly, like, hey, did you take steroids when you were, at your peak of your career? And he's like, yeah. Absolutely. Like, we could, I couldn't, a guy my size, or I forget, I'm paraphrasing at this point. Like, a guy my size couldn't make it as long as I did without any assistance, because we kick the crap out of each other 300 days a year, and, we need something. But, it to me, it's like everybody was kind of saying, like, they're using something as trying to find something as a scapegoat to put down wrestling one way or another. And it happens all the time. And, Vince McMahon's trial with the steroid usage in early 90s. You know, there's a lot of things going against the WWE, you know, publicly in that case when everyone's trying to demonize this case, just make it like it's all about steroids. It's all about steroids. You know, there couldn't be anything else but steroids. It's I don't know. I really have nothing else to say to that. It's just like it's awful that, you know, that they were trying to use that, and a lot of the guys that were coming on, a lot of them were defending that. You know, I mean, it's possible, but I don't see how it is. And, you know, and again, a guy like Kevin Nash, he used steroids throughout most of his career, and
now he has bad quads and knees. So we see.
This is well, again, he got hurt a lot, but he didn't, you know, kill anybody or like, you know, anything like that. It's just it's a case by case basis of everything, you know, of each person, as I had, you know, said before about, you know, ankle. But it's crazy.
I mean, if you take like an unstable mental structure as it is, and then you add a shit ton of steroid, which causes a boost in testosterone, you know, that would make sense. But like, reference the mental health, reference the physical health, like reference the fact that his brain was calloused as shit and covered in scar tissue, like.
Like acid, you gotta go with a positive mental state.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on. You know what I mean? Like, there's more than one factor to everything. And even if he wasn't on steroids in the past, if they weren't on the system, he wasn't on cycle, which means there probably wasn't a huge up in his testosterone besides working out. You know what I mean?
Normally,
right?
Yeah, like
they
the normal
found the easy out and they attacked it. Yeah, they found the easy out, they attacked it because that's what the media was hungry for. They wanted a reason. They wanted something juicy that they can blame on one industry, and they got it.
Yeah,
like they fucking really got it.
And it was a simple answer. It was just a simple answer that most people would likely believe.
You know, here's the thing. It's been 10 years, and you think that I would have gotten over it by now. I mean, Jesus, I didn't even know the guy. I never met the guy. I have his autograph that somebody got an OVW show for me once upon a time. But, you know, a lot of times, like, I'll literally, and this is how much I loved Chris Benoit as a wrestler, you know, I would have dreams about, you know, what if you had just, like, distracted him for one weekend? Maybe it wouldn't have happened. But, you know, then you come back to reality when you wake up and just, like, maybe you're daydreaming and thinking about that type of stuff. And this is a question I was going to ask you guys. Do you think there was anything that anybody could have done for this guy, or was this just going to happen? I mean, let's say, you know, he was already away that weekend. Was he going to come back the next weekend? Because like David said, it was so deliberate. I mean, the dude even Googled how to break his own neck. So I just wondered how much of a plan this was. Or did it just, you know, he snapped that? Maybe he could, like, let's say Chavo had stayed the weekend. Would this still have happened? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
But then who knows if Chavo would have gotten killed too? You know?
Yeah,
so
I was getting ready to say. Yeah.
Or Nancy's sister even, because she was like their nanny.
I don't think that if Chavo had stayed, he would have been killed because Chavo was the last remaining link to Eddie that Chris had.
Good point.
So I don't think Chavo would have been hurt. I do think that weekend wouldn't have happened, at least, you know, then.
Yeah.
But I do definitely think that with, you know, like you mentioned, how he did his research on doing that, I do think that at some point in time, maybe not then, but somewhere down the line, maybe years down the line, maybe this conversation is happening, you know, a week after that happened. Like, say this conversation right now happened a week after it happened, 10 years down the line. You know, if your brain is at that point, something's going to break off. Mm-hmm. And it's, you know, we want to put into theory of whether it happened, whether it would have still happened or not. I truthfully believe it would have. Either that or Chris would have, like, went the same fate as Eddie and just randomly died. Nobody would have expected it, you know?
Yeah. Well, here's another angle on it that I was just kind of thinking about, and I asked Vic this the other day, and I know my answer. If this had never happened, and I want you guys to think hard about this and tell me the truth, what you think. Do you think Chris Benoit would even still be alive anyway? I mean, not that it excuses his actions or says, oh, well, he would have been dead anyway, but do you think he would still be alive right now? Because I don't, just to be honest with you. I think he would have died just like Eddie.
Not at
I
all.
think he
He'd
would
be
have
dead.
Yeah. I think he'd had either a heart failure or a stroke.
Yeah, something along those lines, or he's like severely debilitated in a wheelchair right now. You know, something along those lines. Exactly. Perfect example. Just like his idol.
Just a terrible thought, but still.
Well, okay, you look around. What about Scott Steiner? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been on shows with Scott Steiner and completely worried that him getting dressed, he was going to fall out from a heart attack because he was breathing so hard. And I know that comes from years.
Didn't he actually have like some kind of surgery to repair his heart like a couple years ago?
That could have happened. I don't know, but I mean, you know, people can live, can survive through this, you know, and it's just a matter of the individual. So to say whether or not they probably wouldn't be here, we don't know. I mean, we can make theories and stuff all day long, but we would know, you know. And if he hadn't have killed his family, who's to say he wouldn't have just later killed himself from that same mental breakdown?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you on that aspect. But
on the road,
even like taking aside the physical condition, what about the mental condition? Do you think that might have killed him, just like how, you know, you see people with dementia or Lewy body dementia, Alzheimer's, along those lines, randomly pass away from the deterioration of the brain? Do you think that would have done something as well?
It did.
Well, I mean, also, with as much damage that was on his brain, you do develop like different mental illnesses, you know, as you get older. Like, I'm pretty sure most of us that have anxiety as an adult didn't have anxiety as a 5-year-old. I mean, if he was alive today...
I don't know, clowns scared the shit out of me, so possibly.
Damn clowns.
If he was alive today with the same mental or brain damage, as it were, he'd probably think he was a horse. Because
you know, guys, I want to talk about
wouldn't even know
the brain damage. I don't mean to chime in on this, but this is a point that I want to make. They did say that he had the brain of an 85-year-old Alzheimer's patient, but at the same time, if you listen to Nancy Benoit's sister, you know, and she played a big part in their lives, so she would know. I mean, she was around them a lot, at least when he was home. I mean, she said that you could kick this guy into an airport and he'd get out of there in 8 minutes flat. I mean, that he wasn't losing his mental faculties as far as, like, remembering. So while his brain itself might have been like an 85-year-old Alzheimer's patient, I don't think he was thinking like one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get that that's what they're seeing physically, but I don't think he was functioning like one. I mean, think about it. Dude was still, going to shows. So I guess that's the thing. It's like, I believe that his brain was mush, but at the same time, like, he was still functioning like an adult. So it's weird.
Well, his brain was mush like an 70s or 80s Alzheimer's patient, but with the electrical impulses of a near middle-aged adult. So it was the same amount of electrical impulses, just trying to travel through scar tissue per se.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, I feel.
It does, because the proteins are all jacked up in there. I got it. Yep.
Yeah, I kind of liken that to, like, if you're out driving in a fog. If you're out driving in a fog, but you know exactly where you're going, it's not hard to navigate. You just got to be careful. So, I mean, if he's done something for 20 years, even if his brain's fucked up, he's going to know how to do it. But if he goes to do something new, or all of a sudden he's got to do a lifestyle change, then it's all of a sudden you go into a panic mode. You don't know what the fuck you're doing.
And I do feel like I need to explain this just for the general public. Most people don't really know what a concussion consists of, and it's literally a bruise on your brain.
On your brain, yep.
I just want to let people know, because most people shrug them off like they're nothing. It's legitimately a bruise on your brain. Some people
much respect to you all, because when I trained, I got about 4 or 5 concussions. I was like, I'm done. So props to you all for continuing on, because I was like, yeah, I'm done. So it's crazy that my hero as a wrestler ended up, succumbing at least partially to that.
I probably had it undiagnosed. So I mean,
I was gonna
So,
say,
hey,
my wrestling trainer has like